actually, we've been talking a lot about suing and not a lot about chefing. I'd like to share before we close here, this very weird thing that happened to me that is culinarily related, and it is very strange. My niece's mother bought a dehydrator. Not just a dehydrator, a freeze dry machine. You know, these things are super expensive, right? Yeah. $2,800. Now, she lives on a farm, so she has chickens and they create eggs. And so not only is she freeze drying any kind of fruit she can get her hands on, she's freeze drying like meat, like roadkill, like anything she can find. But what she has said, and so a challenge was issued, and you know when somebody throws down the culinary gauntlet,
right?
You better be ready. You better be ready, because both of us right here, we're trained chefs. Okay, we know our business. And the first thing, what's the first thing you learn when you become a chef?
Mise en place.
And what's the next thing that you learn when you become a chef?
You tell me, because now I'm confused.
How to cook eggs.
Oh, okay, yes.
Literally. Now, Robert learned his chef skills by actually working in like, oh, I don't know, some like Michelin starred restaurants or whatever, blah, blah, blah. So fancy, meow, meow, meow. So fancy. Some of us just went to cooking school, but this bitch over here, he be working in the fancy Zagat rated, like how many 3-star Michelin restaurants, like a fancy motherfucker over here. I ain't bitter. I'm proud of you. But in cooking school, the first week of school, all we did was cook eggs and chop shit. So it was mise en place and eggs, because we learned how to do mise en place. We learned how to cut. We learned knife skills, and we learned eggs. Yeah. So when somebody tells me that a farm fresh egg is better than a grocery store egg, I will buy it. I believe you're right. But when you tell me that a freeze-dried egg powder reconstituted later and cooked alongside a fresh egg is still better and tastes better and has farm fresh flavor, I'm going to be dubious.
I'm calling bullshit on it personally.
It's bullshit. So my niece comes by a couple weeks back and she's like, my mom wants you to try these eggs. She gives me this completely vacuum sealed pack. It's basically like this. It looks like concrete, but it's slightly orange. And I'm thinking, not a problem, because, you know, a farm fresh egg, like Martha, when we used to throw shade on Martha's shows, she always has her blue and her brown and her white eggs. And she's like, oh, of course they came fresh out of her chicken's cloaca. You know, she doesn't go to the store. She just pulls them straight out of their butts. You got these eggs. And then those are the most orangest, like her eggs. Like, I don't know what this bitch feeds her chickens, but those are the most perfect yolks. They're upstanding, plump yolks, looking good, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well, if your chicken is like Martha's, and I'm not saying, like, listen, ain't nobody got chickens like Martha, okay?
Right.
Not even close. But I'm guessing if they're hunting and pecking out there, eating grasshoppers, they probably got nice eggs. So yes, a hard concrete block of powder that's slightly orange in tinge, I would think, okay, sure. Yolks for days. Right. So the instructions I was given: take 2 tablespoons of this powder, add 2 tablespoons of water, mix vigorously, and cook, as one does. So we released the vacuum seal, and I'm expecting, and I don't know what I was expecting, because I thought powder, when it's sealed, yeah, but then when the vacuum comes up, I thought it would relax. Oh, girl, it did not relax. I had a block of cement, like vaguely orange cement. I sniffed it and I was like, I guess that smells like an egg. I mean, you know, like sometimes you get that sort of, there is an egg smell.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to convince myself, like, I mean, I don't know what a farm fresh egg smells like. I've never really had one. So I get, okay, sure. But then I'm like, okay, I can't scoop powder because it's a block. So the first thing I do is I take the bag in my hand and I just start smashing it on the counter, just like bam, 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 bam. So much so that 2 days later, I saw my neighbor and she was like, you guys doing some DIY in the house? And I was like, no. Like I heard pounding and I was like, oh, that was me trying to make eggs. And the look she gave me was just like, all righty then. Okay, well, it was nice to see you. I'm gonna go to church now. It's fine. So basically here, so I basically am like, all right, I'm gonna need more help here. So I'm banging it on the counter to release like chunks. So I get out the mortar and pestle. I give the mortar and pestle to my niece. I'm like, just start pounding it, just pound it. So she's pounding it. And she's like, I can't get all the lumps out. And I was like, oh, fuck me. So I'm like, get it as much as you can. And then I'm going to put it in my spice grinder, which I proceed to do. And I'm going to grind it up as much as I can. I still can't get it into like a fine, consistent powder. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but maybe this is what happens when you freeze dry an egg, because I'm not a doomsday prepper.
Right.
I don't know what a dried egg looks like. I've never seen it before. Have I seen like just like those eggs that are pre-beaten that you could buy at the store? Yeah, I've seen those, but I've never seen a dried egg. Have you?
No.
I didn't know that was a thing.
No.
Well, so I'm going to town like, and I'm just like, damn, there's still all these lumps in here. This is some bullshit. I'm like, I don't want to fuck around all day with these eggs, man. I just want to eat some goddamn eggs. So I take out my fine mesh strainer and I just strain out all the big lumps because we just couldn't get them to powder down. So so now after banging, mortar and pestling, spice grinding, and sieving, I have what looks like the consistency of cream of wheat. It looks like farina,
Oh
so
God.
it doesn't look like a powder. It looks like meal. It looks like meal. And I'm like, girl, I don't know about this. I mean, and it took us probably 45 minutes to get to this point.
Damn.
And the whole point of, I was sold a bill of goods, Robert. I was bamboozled. CEOs convinced me that it would be quick and easy to take this substitute, pop it in there, and then suddenly we got eggs. Listen, I have eggs in my refrigerator right fucking now. It would take me 2 minutes to make an egg any way I wanted to, and I wouldn't have to bang it, pound it, mortar and pestle it, put it through the spice grinder, sieve it, and now I have to reconstitute it. So she's like, okay. So then her mom's getting a little bit shady over here because she's getting overconfident about her skills. So this bitch has the audacity, nerve, gumption, and gall to send an instructional video to her niece, to her daughter, to show to me. And she shows powder going in. I'm like, that don't look like what we got. Because it actually looks like, do you ever make like protein shakes?
Yeah.
Well, what she had looked like a protein shake. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what this looked like before they vacuumed the fuck out of it. And then it just all combobulated like that. But she's like, it's super easy. Boop, boop, blah, 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 eggs. And I was like, bitch, I know how to make an egg. I did not need to see you make. What I'm telling you is this don't look like eggs to me. So we put, I take 2 level tablespoons. First of all, I would like to point out that her video showed her putting a 1/4 cup of water into 2 tablespoons of eggs. It was not a tablespoon that she was using. It was a 1/4 cup. So don't even come at me, bitch, because I know what's up. And also she was using a dry measure to measure water, which is not how you do this. Right. So please don't come for the king. I mean, you best not miss. Don't be measuring water in a dry measuring cup and act like you're some kind of a chef, because it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Okay.
Right.
When you're a chef, you can eyeball 2 tablespoons of oil. I've done it. We can do it. I can hold in my hand and be like, that's 2 ounces of meat because I rolled enough balls.
Yeah.
But that ain't her background. This is not her background. She's a social worker, for Christ's sake. Okay. And a part-time farmer with weird eggs. So at this point, I'm getting frustrated because I put 2 tablespoons of water in and I start mixing and it is sludge. And when I tell you, it looks like Did you ever not put enough water in your grits?
Yes.
And they kind of just like, because like you start putting water in the grits and like it, or if you're trying to reconstitute your grits and like loosen them up, you got to add a little bit of water and you're going and you're going and you're going and trying to loosen them up and you're going and you're going. Well, that's what it felt like. It felt like 3-day-old grits that have been left out all night. They're drying and they just keep sucking up more and more and more and more and more water. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is not right. And so I'm like, ask your mom if she didn't get the measurements wrong, because this is not right. She just sends the same video. Sends the same video. I'm like, you shady bitch. And I'm like, she's like, you're probably adding too much water. I'm like, I ain't adding enough. This looks like cream of wheat, except it's orange. And I don't know why this is so orange. Please tell me why it looks like orange cream of wheat, because I don't understand. And I've been alive a lot longer than any of you bitches, and I've never seen some shit like this, okay? So I'm like, fuck it. We're doing it live.
Right.
We are doing it live. So I take out 2 frying pans. I get them both on the stove. I put 2 knobs of butter in there. Let's go, bitches. Crack an egg in there. You can't crack this. I'm like scooping this sludge. It's going gloop, bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh, God.
Like, it just was like so gross. My other egg cooks up in a second perfectly. I put it on a plate. And now I'm like watching this farina slowly bubble. Like it looks like some kind of weird peat bog that's like bubbling, like miasma. And it doesn't smell like eggs. And it's not coagulating even a little bit. It's starting to burn a little bit around the edges, like it's caramelizing. And I'm like, why would an egg do that? Like, an egg can brown, sure, but this is burning like sugar would burn. And as far as I know, there's really not that much sugar in an egg like that. That seems weird. And I'm like, listen, Camille, I'm done. I'm finished.
Right.
This is grody. This is nasty. I'm not eating it. And I'm not even going to try and feed it to my dog. I ain't even trying to taste this. It's going directly into the trash. So at this point, I've got a cold actual egg that nobody wanted at that point, because now we're all just pissed off. So I gave it to the dogs. They were thrilled. I wasn't thrilled because it came back to bite me in the ass a few hours later when that shit came back for the revenge.
Mm-hmm.
So Camille turns to me and she's like, so I'm wondering if I didn't actually bring eggs to you. And I'm like, what do you mean you didn't bring me eggs? Well, here's the gag. So this woman went on a rampage and started freeze drying literally everything and more, and even some shit that she shouldn't ought to have been dehydrating. Turns out she just took full oranges and basically pureed them. And then she freeze dried it. And so Camille's like, I think this might be orange juice. And so I'm like, so here's the thing. We are chefs. And one of the things that you do when you're a chef and you are preparing things for tomorrow, you will put it in a container, you will mark it with the date and time and what it is. So it should say eggs, February 15th, 2:15 p.m., whatever, just so that you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
If I tell you this bitch did not put any labels on anything, she just sent a whole bunch of packages of freeze-dried clumps of powder, because she didn't just freeze dry the shit, she myrtleated literally everything. It's just a freeze-dried massacre. So it's not just like, oh, here's some very nice like freeze-dried chicken for your dog, or here's some very nice freeze-dried fruits, or that you can then turn into a powder. No, it was just everything powdered all the time. So Camille's like, you know what? I'm thinking now I might have brought you orange juice. Let me just run back to the dorm and I'm going to get you the eggs. 10 minutes later, get a text. Funny story. My mom never sent us any eggs. It was orange juice the whole time.
So do y'all have the eggs now?
Allegedly.
Oh, God.
Camille is coming over tonight. She says her mother sent her eggs. We shall see. So I will report back to you on the next episode of the Sous Chefs. Come back. Please tune in for the exciting conclusion to the saga of, is it eggs or is it orange juice?
Juice. Wow.
And on that note, I have been Chef Kimber A. Russell, Esquire.
And I'm always Chef Rob, Esquire.
You'll see us next time on the Sous Chefs. Like and subscribe.